Welcome to session 3. We're going to begin by drilling some of what we learned last week, starting off with So Me. So I'm going to sing 1, 2, ready, go. And then you will perform the exercise, and I will sing 1, 2, ready, go on your starting pitch. So in this case, you can see that your starting pitch is going to be So, since that is the very first note that we're singing. I'm going to give you the answer to this first one, and then the rest of them you're going to sing on your own. 1, 2, ready, go, so me, so me. All right, that's exercise 1. This next one is all you. 1, 2, ready, go. Answer. So, so, me, me. All right, next one up. 1, 2, ready, go. Answer. So, me, me, so. All right, last one. 1, 2, ready, go. Answer. Me, so, me, me. So I think it's pretty comfortable, so and me for us at this point. So, me. And what we're going to learn next is la. La is the next step in learning solfege. So you probably know that music works by going from space to line to space to line to space and so on. And that's how music works on the staff. So there is a note, a solfege note between so and me, but we are going to ignore it for now because the next one we want to learn is la. So if we have so, then la is going to be on the space above it. La. Then we're going to sing so again. So, me. Sing that with me one time. 1, 2, ready, go. So, la, so, mi. One more time just to solidify. 1, 2, ready, go. So, la, so, mi. Okay, what we are going to do now is we are going to do some sight reading right out of the gate with la. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. All right, here's the answer. 1, 2, ready, go. So, so, la, so. All right, we're going to do another one. 1, 2, ready, go. Answer. 1, 2, ready, go. So, mi, la, so. All right, here's another one. 1, 2, ready, go. Answer. 1, 2, ready, go. Mi, so, la, so. All right, last one. 1, 2, ready, go. Answer. 1, 2, ready, go. Mi, la, so, so. All right, so I totally just threw you into the deep end, but you've just been sight reading la in addition to so and me. So that's the way if we're gonna learn our solfege steps, is just progressively adding on to what we already have memorized. So as we go forward, as we add a couple of more syllable note names as we go through this scale, and you start to feel, boy, this got really hard, you can always go back to an earlier session and grab one of the sight reading segments and just solidify the distance between these syllables. So, making sure that if you've got so, me kind of memorized in your brain, you feel comfortable with that, then you're adding on la, you feel comfortable with that, and you can go back and review as needed. All right, so for your first assignment, you're going to create an 8-beat composition on so, me, and la. So if you look at this though, there 8 beats in here, so we've got kind of a longer staff for us to draw notes on, but that's going to end up looking pretty jumbled as we add in 8 notes. It gets kind of hard to read. So that's why we have bar lines. Bar lines help us divide groupings of notes, and it just makes it a lot easier for us to read things, and it helps us to count. So if we're going to have 8 beats, I'm going to label them up here. You don't have to do this, but you're welcome to. So I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, and I don't want to count to 8. I'm just going to count to 4 again. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've added a bar line here. That's this line right in the middle. And I have 2 groupings of 4. It's a lot easier to simply have to count to 4 twice than it is to count to 8 as you're singing. So you can go ahead and you can compose starting on so with a note head like this, or as a challenge, if you want to get kind of squirrely with it, you can use your stick notation so that you can make interesting rhythms like this. So if I did this composition, I have so, so, la, la, so, mi, mi, so, 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 so. Or we could make a simpler composition using just note heads like this. So, la, so, mi, mi, so. So you can see in this piece we have 2 measures, right, defined by this bar line. It breaks it off into 2 measures. I've got my first measure here and my second measure here. And if you notice, they have the same number of beats per measure. So that's a super useful thing for musicians to know how many beats we are supposed to count in a measure. So a time signature is made up of 2 numbers, one on top, one on bottom, and it's kind of a code, and it tells you a lot about the music to do with your beats. So your top number is going to tell you the number of beats in a measure. So that's pretty easy for this one, right? You can see at the top that we have 4 beats per measure. So for this very top number here, since it is the number of beats in a measure, we put in the number 4. The bottom number in a time signature tells you something different. It tells you the kind of note that's getting a beat, or the type of note that's getting the beat. So we don't need to worry about all that kind of stuff right now, about the kind of notes that are getting the beat. But the most common one that you'll see at the bottom is 4. It's by far the most common number you'll see at the bottom of a time signature. And 4 here, you can think of kind of like a quarter. But what it's standing for is a quarter note, which is this guy right here. So this time signature, 4/4, which is the most common time signature out there, is going to tell you the number of beats in a measure, like we have up there, and then the kind of note that gets a beat. Or you can think of it as there are 4 of this kind of note in a measure. So 4 quarter notes in a measure. So that's roughly how time signatures work, and they can get a little bit more complicated, but the most important thing is just to know that your top number here is your number of beats in a measure, and your bottom number is the kind of note that gets a beat. The other common time signatures, you can have 3/4, which is 3 quarter notes in a measure, or you can have 6/8, which is 6/8 notes in a measure. Or you can have 2/4, which is 2 quarter notes in a measure. That basically covers most of the time signatures you see. You can also have, 15 or, over 4 or something like that if you wanted. You can get crazy, but the big thing to know is just the number of beats per measure is your top number, and the type of note that gets a beat is your bottom number. All right, let's see if we can take our rhythm to the next level. So last week we were working on stick notation. So we've got do, and then we have do day. Pretty simple. And we know that if we have a bunch of beats in a row, we'll say 4 beats here. Do is 1 sound on a beat. Do day is 2 sounds on a beat. So this example here would be do, do day, do, do day. So we want to understand rhythm as division of time. And I'm going to get to that in just a second. It's going to really help music make more sense for you and make you be able to learn music much faster. First thing though, We have do and then we have due day. And you notice that the thing here that's different is this bar line, this connecting bar line between the two vertical sticks. So that bar line is telling us that, that we have two sounds on a single beat. As you can probably guess, do is a quarter note here, and due day is an eighth note. And of course we notice that it's this little bar line at the top that tells us that this is an eighth note. So another way to represent eighth notes, if we want to represent them one at a time, is with this little flag at the top. And then we're going to color it in. And you've probably seen this before in music. And if I put two of them next to one another like this, that's the exact same thing as what's above it. This is due day and this is due day. Exact same thing. So I want to show you a way to be able to visually understand what division of time, what rhythm really is. So at the top here, I'm going to give you your quarter note. This rectangle here is representing the duration of time of the quarter note. And below it, I'm going to put into two boxes. I'm going to divide this into two, is our eighth note. So if I think of this as do, then what I have here is due day. Further down, your eighth notes actually also get divided into 16th notes. So a 16th note is just simply represented by two flags instead of one. I am drawing them quite crudely here, but I think you get the idea. One flag on the stem is that little vertical line on the note. One flag is an eighth note, and two flags is a 16th note. So the duration of time of a single beat does not change, no matter what. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so I'm going to decide how to divide it. I'm going to divide my beat, not at all. I'm just going to put one note to a beat. Here we go. Do, 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 do. Very easy. Now I'm going to take my beat and I'm going to divide it into two. 1, 2, ready, go. Do day, do day, do day, do day. So I took my 1, 2, 3, 4, and I put two sounds on every single beat. Do day, do day, do day, do day. All right, now if we want to get really complicated, we can go to doing the 16th notes. And 16th notes are notes which have two flags. So a single 16th note looks like that. And then if you have a grouping of 16th notes, they look just like eighth notes, except there's two bar lines across the top. So I'm just so you can visually see them. Here's a group of 1, 2, and then 4 16th notes. Okay, so I'm going to now do 16th notes over the course of 4 beats. When we're doing 16th notes, you don't really need to know this right now, but we say do, ta, de, ta. All right, that should be a T. All right, do, ta, de, ta. So here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. Do, ta, de, ta, do, ta, de, ta, do, ta, de, ta, do, ta, de, ta. That's a whole lot of sounds. This is going to comprise quarters, eighths, and sixteenths, the majority of rhythms that you experience. There are more, and we are going to get into them. But I want you to have this concept in your mind that a beat is just this steady pulse that's a particular duration and time. Beat, 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 right? And then we decide how to divide that, and that's how we end up with rhythms. All right, we're going to take this to a new step with time signatures. So understanding rhythm as division of time and then understanding time signatures is the thing that's going to really help you be able to take a look at a new piece of music and to be able to sight read it. So a time signature tells you something super useful, and it helps actually make music much easier for you. So I'm going to create an exercise that's 8 beats long, right? Like we did with our sol, la, mi composition. 8 beats, as you can see, though, is quite a lot of space in music. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide it into 2. Okay, that's going to be much easier. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4 beats at the top. And then rather than doing 5, 6, 7, 8 up here, I'm instead going to count 1, 2, 3, 4 again. So it's much easier to simply read a group of 4 and then a group of 4 as opposed to one giant group of 8, right? So bar lines like this that divides music into measures makes it much easier for us to read things in chunks. What the time signature does, which is when you see numbers on top of each other like this, and it's always at the beginning of music, what the time signature does is it tells us how many beats in a measure. That's the first thing it tells us. So we read time signatures from top to bottom. So our very first number, we're going to put a 4 because guess what? We have 4 beats in a measure. That's just the easiest thing. Figure out how many beats in a measure. It gets easier from there. Your bottom number is going to tell you the kind of note that's getting a beat. So in this case, the 4 on the bottom of a time signature stands for a quarter note. It's easier to remember that if you have the word quarter, that can also be expressed very easily as a fraction, as a quarter, and we can see that here at the bottom it kind of looks like a fraction. It's really not, but it's an easy way for you to remember that. The bottom note here, if you have a 4, is going to be telling you a quarter note. So in a time signature, your top number equals the number of beats per measure, and then your bottom number is going to be telling you what kind of note or what type of note gets the beat. So that could be a quarter note, or it could be an 8th note, or it could be a 16th note, or it could be a half note. But whatever it is, that bottom number is going to tell you what kind of note is getting the beat. So let's take a look now again at this example at the top of the page. So I have 4 beats in a measure, and I know the quarter note is getting the beat. So I'm going to fill this in, and this is going to be the easiest sight reading exercise you ever do. Really easy, 1 quarter note per beat. I'm going to count off 1, 2, ready, go, and then you're going to perform the exercise on do. 1, 2, ready, go. Easy, right? Just do the whole way down. The trick, though, and this is the thing that's easy to miss when we're just looking at music and it looks like ink on the page, is that we are actually silently keeping this beat inside our head. I might be saying do, 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 but I'm keeping 1, 2, 3, 4 going silently in my head. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It helps us to know where the beat is, and if we know where the beat is, then we can understand how we can divide it. All right, so that's not too hard, but I'm going to give you another example, and this is really important to understand. It's going to make music also feel more alive for you. So we have the quarter note, and we know that that's going to take up a duration of, in this case, 1 beat. We also have the quarter rest, which looks like this. As you can guess, the quarter rest is the exact same duration as the quarter note. So let's perform just this very first measure together. 1, 2, ready, go. Do, do, do. The trick is that rests. On rests, it's not just silence. There's actually active music making. Even though we have that quarter note rest, we are still maintaining the beat. We're keeping it in our mind. So a great way to go through reading exercises where we're learning to improve our rhythm is to actually keep a pat on your thighs going while you say do or do day the rhythms. So I'm going to fill out the rest of this exercise here, and I'm going to perform it with myself clicking in the background so that you can hear me keeping the beat. I'm going to be keeping the beat by snapping my fingers and then saying the notes as they come up. So I'm going to do this exercise just so you can hear it. 1, 2, ready, go. Do, 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 do. I'm going to do that one more time just so you can hear it clearly. 1, 2, ready, go. Do, 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 do. So that's the thing with rests. Rests are silence around the sound. But as musicians, we don't just make sound, we make sound and we shape the silence around the sound. So it's easy to look at rests and go, oh, we're stopping, but that's not at all what's happening. In rests, we actively make music. And the most important thing, and the first thing we do, is we're keeping the beat through that rest. So it's pretty easy when we're doing quarter notes. We keep that steady pulse, and that steady pulse continues through the rest. So there are a set of rhythm exercises that I'm going to be assigning to you for you to practice this on your own. And the way to practice them is to make sure that you are patting your thighs or snapping your fingers at the same time as you are producing the sound do of the quarter note. And that's going to really help you actively create music, actively be keeping the beat while you go through the rhythm exercise. All right, so for one of your assignments for this session, I want you to go through the rhythm exercises that you're going to find in the course materials PDF. It's the 7th page of the PDF, although it says also the number 10 in the file itself, but it's the 7th page of the digital file. And so go through these rhythm exercises, including that challenge exercise at the bottom, and keep a pat going at the same time as you do those quarter notes, but you pat without saying do for the quarter rests, and help keep that sense of beat alive, that you're actively creating a beat during a rest.